right, good afternoon. Welcome to the third edition of the Source Code Podcast. I'm Ted, joined here by...
Hell's Knight.
And Michael.
All right, today we have a slew of news to give you guys. Basically, of all titles that are making resurgences, Kickstarter ideas that are actually coming to fruition earlier than expected, and a few very dodgy surprises in terms of rumors between certain publishers. Mike, perhaps you'd like to start us off?
I assume you're referring to the connection between CD Projekt and EA?
Yes, I believe we have to get that one out of the way, like, real quick.
Okay, so, again, this is rumor and speculation, despite a member from CD Projekt claiming this is not true. But this particular rumor involved an employee of CD Projekt
Red.
CD Projekt Red.
Yeah.
The development studio behind the Witcher series, as well as the founders and organizers of GOG, Good Old Gaming, the platform.
The digital store platform.
So one of these employees anonymously was claiming that EA has been visiting the GOG team on something. It's not confirmed exactly what it is, but this particular employee was under the assumption that it might be EA purchasing and taking over GOG as it is. So of course this raises a few eyebrows, because EA are not exactly the, how would I put this?
They're not necessarily angels
the pinnacle
industry.
role model
Yes.
in the gaming industry.
Yeah.
Clearly, their intents and practices are relatively obvious. And ultimately, the majority of feedback I've seen in regards to this rumor has not been good.
Well,
So I was just curious, assuming this is actually true, what that could possibly mean.
Look, it could also mean that maybe they're trying to come up with some deal with future titles. Maybe they want more titles released from GOG. I mean, I don't think they could buy GOG.
Well,
I highly doubt.
As far as we already know in terms of what's already offered on GOG and EA, the old Bullfrog strategy games, like Populous and the like, from very many years ago, already hosted on the GOG platform.
Yeah.
Now, assuming this is some sort of benevolent deal, we could potentially see the likes of some AAA titles trickling their way into a DRM-free release. Yes, I know the potential for that is ridiculously low, but who knows?
Maybe it could happen.
A Dragon Age Origins, perhaps, or Mass Effect, the first, without multiplayer components, being released DRM-free, that would be a good show. Or some of the older role-playing games. But in my view, if this deal is for real, I believe EA is trying to make a play for the actual GOG storefront itself.
By the way, what? I don't
including
know.
having some sort of say in owning the whole outfit.
I highly doubt CD Projekt Red would go to it, because they have like called them out with their DLCs and stuff, like, on their philosophy and versus EA's.
That is true. They did talk about that when they released.
I was wondering, what was the last bad thing that that EA did?
The last bad thing.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I'll try.
Serious.
Yes. I'll try to keep this in very close to my own personal experience, so we can start from maybe 5 years ago.
Okay.
Dodgy DLC.
That was the last thing.
No. I'm building up to something here.
Okay.
My first big AAA title that I bought from them from years ago, that was Dragon Age Origins.
Yeah.
They had this weird thing for an upcoming title known as Mass Effect 2. Perhaps the dear listeners would have heard of that one. They were offering some costumes that were going to be locked behind a paywall after a certain time period. Something that I did not like seeing the moment I opened my newly purchased box with my very lovely game.
It was a costume, though.
But it's a practice behind it.
Yeah, I know. I don't
It is
like
a
the,
costume. It is a costume with in-game attributes tied to your character. So it's not cosmetic in any way. It changes gameplay with statistics, which in itself,
yeah, right.
would be a problem because you see, it's perhaps someone would want those bonuses and stats in their gameplay experience. Who knows? Perhaps it would help someone beat some very dodgy in-game character. We don't know for sure, but such dodgy practices that came around after 2010 and 2011 left some of us with a very bad taste in our mouths. And then just last year, we quickly jumped onto the Dragon Age Inquisition bandwagon and the Origin platform.
Right.
I was an early adopter personally,
Yeah.
and I believe I managed to get the deluxe edition in a deal that ended up giving me some elven deer. It was, I think, the in-game lore calls them halas, and that was it, gentlemen.
So why did you buy the deluxe edition? Would be my next question.
No. It
But
was.
it's all right.
This is what we thought. Again, we were going to get some extra in-game attributes that would have helped our experience, but then this one became purely cosmetic for an extra amount of cash. And that's just the small things. We're not talking about the always online games like how what was it, SimCity launched,
Yes.
for example.
That was about
Those are just small things. I was trying to keep them locked to my experience.
In principle, it's in regards to the inconvenience it potentially puts on users, and also how we regard their sentiments about gamers in general, that they feel insecure enough to have to impose that for a game that doesn't absolutely need it.
Precisely.
And ultimately, the risk which has been shown time and time again, where with SimCity on launch, there were issues with people connecting to it. Whether it was a legitimate issue on EA's end, or you also have hackers who enjoy DDoSing the crap out of gaming servers.
That would be...
that launch was messed up. So bad. But that was quite a while ago, wasn't it?
But the thing is, the potential is always there. It's not invulnerable or impenetrable.
In fact, it doesn't bode well for the upcoming multiplayer-centric games such as
Battlefront.
Exactly, Star Wars Battlefront, the new one that's coming out. Maybe the new Mass Effect Andromeda that is slowly building up hype, very, very slowly. But if they do something wrong to some very big names like those, that would be a problem.
You see,
for
that's
them
again
down the
under
line.
BioWare, and so far BioWare have kept their stuff legit. Safe.
But what happens when the publisher comes through with their marketing side of...
They didn't mess up. I expected them to mess up Inquisition pretty badly, and besides what you just said about the deluxe edition, I don't know.
Oh,
of
then
any other
let
complaints.
me add one.
It wasn't that big of a screw up. It wasn't like a sim scale screw up.
No, I really can't call it the disaster. Of course, launch the issues were a pain with activation and connectivity.
Okay.
But then that, of course, is down to the Origin client itself. We had to do a lot of troubleshooting and stuff. So
Okay.
you kind of expect it with these things, I suppose.
Just out of curiosity, because
Yes.
to be honest, I've never installed or used Origin myself. I'm still hesitant to, because in principle, I'm not satisfied with having so many distribution nodes. Like Steam, basically the two that I would want to support are Steam and GOG.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, with Origin, what are the download speeds like? Are
Well-
they equivalent to Steam, the kind of performance we can expect here, assuming your connection is stable?
I'll say that it will make the most of your connection speed.
Okay.
However, in comparison to Steam, they don't seem to have nearly enough servers for the African market, I'd say.
I think
Basically,
it's-
quality of life improvements are very sorely needed. You have a situation where you're trying to download your product and the whole client seizes up on you. It can, completely just kill your bandwidth for a while, a few minutes, then back up.
Okay.
So it's a real 50-50 kind of thing. It's a really thorny situation. I can't call it a disaster because we are getting our products, but in terms of quality of life, Steam is far ahead.
Okay.
Fair enough.
And
Yeah.
of course, GOG doesn't need the extra overhead because it's
I really love what GOG is doing.
yeah.
With the Galaxy client, it's DRM free. Also, the ability to roll back patch updates and so on. But
That's-
anyway,
yes.
we will.
That's for
always
that's for
discuss that
another day.
later.
Yeah, no, I think
Yeah.
time will tell
Yeah.
how it goes and what comes out.
But it's. I'm optimistic. It's hopeful. It's nice to
Yeah,
know that there's.
I don't think GOG would sell out that easily, because I think they'd lose a lot of their core market.
I would rather
Like,
go.
lots of people would be upset.
I'd rather go.
But I don't
with-
know. Let's see.
I'd rather go with the hope that they are making a new publishing deal with EA for some of EA's back catalog games.
Imagine,
You know, to have
like,
Or
some of
what
them
if-
have
what
extra
if
support.
they-
what
could
if
potentially be-
Battlefront was Origin or GOG only? Can you imagine that? Wouldn't that be awesome?
EA games.
Oh, that would be-
Origin
that-
or GOG.
That would be brilliant
Galaxy.
because we all know
what
where we
EA's
be.
titles.
Battlefront.
Yeah.
Instead of coming out Origin only, it comes out Origin and GOG Galaxy. That would be awesome.
That's only going to work really assuming that EA get around the notion of needing to impose DRM.
yeah.
Assuming they do, that's actually a step in the right direction because despite EA's decisions being
'Cause the thing with,
thoroughly questionable and frustrating, it would be nice to see them actually maturing a bit.
No, because by default, Battlefront's like a multiplayer only.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you need to connect online as it is.
That's true.
Although
But-
modders could always get around, I guess.
I guess as time passes, we'll see what's up. Because the only other thing I can think of, if it's not acquisition of the company itself, if it's not introducing additional titles into the GOG catalog,
Yes.
the other thing that pops to mind is perhaps they want to help sponsor or fund Cyberpunk.
Yes, that would be their upcoming sci-fi RPG.
Yeah,
I
what
think
was it? Cyberpunk 2077.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope for the best. We'll leave it there for now, but we'll be keeping an eye
Yeah.
as per usual.
We'll keep abreast of the situation.
And now for the news. Hell's Night?
No, that was part of the news, though. So there was quite... Okay, it started last week just started off really slow. I should say that this podcast is actually coming up late, and we apologize for that. But we were actually covering a LAN on Saturday, and we have a really good interview, which we'll actually be uploading as well, which
Very
we
soon.
think you'll really appreciate. As for the news for last week, basically Fallout is now getting... Fallout 4, that is now getting like a season pass. And here's the real kicker is that they don't know what's going to be in it yet. And what they've said is it will be like about $30 of worth of content, and no one really knows what it is.
Content that you know nothing about.
Let me ask you guys, how would you respond if the company releases a game?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
There's DLC supported, and one of the DLCs is the ability to unlock the FPS.
Yeah. I'm sure a game has done that. No, did you play was that a thing in DLC Quest?
No.
Okay.
No.
And DLC, by the way, DLC Quest is a game that literally trolls
It's a
the
thorough
notion
parody
of
DLC.
Like
Yeah.
you need to
That would
buy
be- that would be
DLC
downloadable
to unlock
content,
the
yeah.
ability to jump and all that. It's
Yeah.
quite nuts.
To actually move left or right,
Yeah.
and the ability to jump. I don't. Did it
And there was
add
color as
yeah,
well.
There was
yeah,
color
there was
as
color.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is so silly. Yeah, so that was one bit of Fallout news. The other bit of Fallout news is the PS4 will be getting mod support, but after the PC and the Xbox One.
And that would be the first time ever any mod support hit the Sony platforms.
Officially, at least.
Officially, at least, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know
In
with
a
Skyrim
weird
on the
way.
PS3, assuming your console had custom firmware installed, there were quite a few mods that showcased on PC that could directly translate and be run
On the
on
PlayStation
the PS3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
But at least now it's officially endorsed. I mean, it's about time.
Wow. And then more on the DLC, but this is actually kind of good news. If you have Shovel Knight, there is a free add-on that's out on the 17th, which is tomorrow? What's the date today?
Today is the 15th.
Okay, yeah. So it's out
In
day
2
after,
days.
and it's called Plague of Shadows. And the only requirement is that you've beaten the game once, or
Oh.
if you've swapped platforms. I think you get a code from the devs. They'll send you a code to your
So
email.
what exactly is Shovel Knight?
Shovel Knight's
I know it's an
platformer.
indie game, but what does it play like? Comparisons.
Mike's
It's an
actually
old
played
school
it.
platformer,
Mm-hmm.
and basically you are a knight in armor, and your
Yes.
main weapon is a shovel.
It's basically it's
Yeah.
hence Shovel Knight, right?
Yes.
Okay.
No, it looks really good. It looks like old school DuckTales crossed with Mega Man or
Okay.
Castlevania.
Okay. Oh, Castlevania.
It looks really old school.
That's some serious praise right there.
yeah. It's very pretty. I
Okay.
can't
I
wait
might
to
consider
get to it.
doing.
Let's play that.
Yeah, because it was definitely fun, but at times quite frustrating.
Oh, I
to play.
remember listening to you on TeamSpeak, and you were like,
Yeah.
it was quite amusing.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yes,
Yeah.
dear listener, we
A
kind
lot of censoring of explicitives.
Yes, we kind of hate losing.
Well, not necessarily hate losing, but it definitely tests patience. But it's a fun game nevertheless.
True.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
fair
in other
enough.
news, last week there was a bug with MGS, the Phantom Pain. If you use the really attractive sniper chick,
Her name is Quiet.
Quiet, or it would corrupt your save game. But they actually fixed that, I think, yesterday.
In a new
so,
update, right?
Yeah, but just
Okay.
on the PS4 and PC.
Yeah. I think there were two missions in particular where if you have her with you, this bug occurs. But that seems to have been solved.
And of course, that game is not without its further controversy because it just came to light that Metal Gear Solid 5 had a chapter that was not necessarily complete.
Or
Sadly.
complete or wasn't added, which a lot of users said would have actually been far more potent for the story for it to have been
Exactly.
included to begin with.
And
I
as you
think
know,
it was revealed in additional material that came with the game.
precisely. The
Yeah.
funny thing here is the publisher releases some extra material that comes with the game, celebrating the new blockbuster hit. And someone lets that slip that perhaps there was going to be an extra chapter with more story that was not finished up. Which, of course, brings out more speculation as to how much better the title could have been.
But-
Something that we really don't need, but anyway.
At least we're aware of what it is. Even though we don't actually play it, we
Yeah.
know how it fits in. So it's not...
Yeah, it's... The core experience was not necessarily destroyed.
It's unfortunate it wasn't included, but at least we know what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was other news as well. Nintendo have a new president.
Whom we
Replacing
know nothing
Satoru.
about.
Basically, after Satoru Iwata died.
Yes.
I think, gosh, these names. Shigeru Miyamoto and someone else were kind of like taking over and basically taking over his role. But they officially announced that Tatsumi Kimishima?
Tatsumi Kimishima.
Yeah.
Isn't his background in law?
His background's actually, he's worked at Pokemon.
Oh.
He's been the president before Reggie,
Reggie
the current
Phil-
Fizme, yeah. Reggie
Fizame.
Fizme.
Fizame.
Basically the president of Nintendo America.
Uh-huh.
I think he was there. He was the president before him. And yeah, he's now the president, and he's been with Nintendo for a while.
Yeah.
Several Pokemon stuff that he's been doing. Yeah. And Nintendo had a lot of reshuffling with their departments as well.
Yeah.
Mostly business department had a rework and all sorts of stuff that I honestly didn't care too much. I didn't care too much.
I honestly hope that he's a good fit and that Nintendo prospers, because they're a very special company in the gaming world. So I really hope that they continue and thrive.
Definitely.
Yeah. Then more news that came out as well. November 10th is when the new StarCraft 2 Legacy of the Void game is coming.
So is that a full-on expansion or just a small piece of the
No, all of them
content?
were individual games.
They're full individual expansions,
Isn't it?
With
the StarCraft games, StarCraft 2 games, you could buy like the latest one and you didn't need the previous two. It wasn't like expansions like Frozen Throne. It was like more like they're standalone.
So whether it's standalone or not,
I think they weren't standalones, but don't quote me on that. 'Cause I don't play StarCraft, so
we'll get to it eventually.
I wasn't interested in StarCraft, to be honest.
And also
Maybe watching is fun, but yeah.
And also further in the news, this personally is a personal favorite for me, because it just got announced, I believe it was midweek last week, that the Dragon's Dogma role-playing game plus the Dark Arisen expansion is coming to the PC platform in January of 2016. Pricing has already been explained fully at about, say, $29.99. Same for the Euro price, and at 24, or rather 25 pounds approximately. So what exactly is Dragon's Dogma? There's a quick explanation. It's a fully open world action role-playing game that is developed by Japanese developers but with the Western sensibilities. So the game systems are very, very different as compared to, your average Japanese role-playing game that, is almost always turn-based. It's very heavily, story driven.
You know what I liked about that game is it had that feature. There wasn't any real multiplayer, but what it had was you can with your friends who also have the game, their in-game characters can come and become like followers in your game. That's how that
the companion / pawn system from. Just think of pawns in chess.
And also, if you have Skyrim, there's a mod that does that.
You always have to slip in Skyrim somewhere.
There's a mod that does
that.
Yes,
Hell's Knight seems to have a Skyrim fetish. We'll try to accommodate him as necessary.
Yeah,
going forward.
The table. Okay. Do you have anything to say about Dragon's Dogma?
I've seen some screenshots. The only thing I can say is the graphic comparison between the PC version and the
PlayStation 3.
They've definitely touched it up a bit. So
we remain hopeful, right? I think.
Those who definitely appreciate graphics and especially like comparing between consoles will appreciate the facelift.
Exactly.
Fair enough.
And now on other news from the Kickstarter funding scene, another new role-playing game known as Battle Chasers Night War was announced last week with an asking price of about $500,000.
Oh, that's changed.
And as of now, they have already met their funding goals. At about $610,000. Okay. They still have 25 days left before their initiative is shut down by Kickstarter, because obviously these things have limits. So we could assume that they're going to, perhaps more than double what they needed, which is a good thing. They've also put forward some stretch goals, including extra levels and cosmetics in-game, assuming these goals are met. But in terms of the core experience, they should be fully funded by now. Now, what is Battle Chasers?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you, actually. What is it?
Battle Chasers is actually a comic series done by a fellow known as Joe Madureira. I'm not very good with Latino names, so just bear with me. Now, Joe Mad, as is colloquially known in the gaming community,
Yeah.
is also
not
one of
Madden.
the creative directors behind a role-playing series known as Darksiders 1 and 2 as part
Oh.
of Vigil Games.
Interesting.
So when he branched out by himself and by forming a new outfit known as Airship Syndicate, they came up with this Battle Chasers Kickstarter. And now this very talented team, because I can vouch for Darksiders personally,
I still haven't finished the first. Oh, God.
this very talented team is coming up with a new role-playing game that is heavily influenced by turn-based variants of the same. It is going to be released on Steam and Good Old Games, so that's
Sweet.
another plus. And as part of the stretch goals, the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One will be shown some love. So honestly, let's hope for the best for this one. I'll be keeping an eye on it, very, very, very closely.
On that, did you play the first Darksiders?
Yes, I did.
You finished the whole thing?
If I remember correctly, I think at best I did 3/4 of the first and completed the second without DLC.
Oh,
Okay.
The first,
So-
the first had DLC. Did it?
No,
I don't.
no,
I
I
don't,
don't
so.
think so.
No, it was just comics
just
and
up-
that kind of stuff.
Just updates.
Yeah.
Just quality of life improvements,
And the soundtrack.
stability patches, and including the soundtrack offers on.
That
GOG, I
soundtrack is
think.
amazing.
Yeah,
Um,
but it's a good series.
yeah,
So
I didn't.
It's
I got
pedigree.
stuck somewhere, and then like the learning curve on that game was so messed up.
On all of them actually,
Ah.
depending on what you kit your character out with,
Yeah. No, yeah.
it can be a pain.
Yeah, in the first, I just, oh my god, I must have been killed by that first Tiamat evil bat thing like a gajillion times. I think I even streamed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did stream that, yeah. Anyways.
And on more role-playing news, this actually was first mooted as part of the PAX Prime event that finished. Was it in end July, I believe?
Sure.
But basically, this game known as Masquerade Songs and Shadow, okay, is a tactical RPG that is being developed by a Singaporean studio,
Oh, wow.
Huh.
and they finally, as of last week, they finally started getting traction with a lot of previews being shown, and it's actually generating good vibes.
Nice.
A lot of talk is that it is very similar in vein to another effort known as the Banner Saga. Dear listener, if
yeah.
you've not heard of it, go have a look.
Yeah, that's on my list.
Yeah, that is something worth considering. It is, full on into development. Previews are looking good, so let's hope for the best once the final build starts rolling out.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So Need for Speed, that remake that you mentioned last week, it got pushed to spring for PC only, so that they could tweak the graphics. Apparently, so spring
Actually,
2016.
It's was the comment that EA gave
Right.
was that it was specifically to give them time to tweak the game that it will support unlocked frame rate.
Yes, that's
Now.
it. Yeah.
A 4-month, November to spring, so it's anywhere 3 to 4 months average
Yes.
to tweak their game.
Mhm.
Now, whether the time required to actually do that is justified within that time frame is not really what intrigues me. it's the fact that by doing this, it really implies that they were mainly creating this for the consoles and that PC ended up being a second thought.
You know, like, think of
Which
it
is
this-
almost always the case, sadly.
Yeah, but at least it didn't come out broken like Arkham Knight.
Well, it's not out yet.
I know.
That's the thing.
I know.
You know, there's
now,
no-
now
there's
this
nothing
way,
to test.
they have no excuse. Like, they took extra time. They would have no excuse.
You do remember that
Do you
a
know what I
certain...
mean?
You do remember
They better
that-
not, is what I mean.
You do realize that a certain company released a certain game known as Watch Dogs after extra time, and we all know how that
Ubisoft.
turned out.
Yes. No, but yeah, I didn't buy into Watch Dogs.
Sadly, I did.
They with the marketing they did before its launch, I think they blew their load early.
But you know what? With Need for Speed, look, they really have to put their best foot forward. Honestly, I don't know.
Graphically speaking, it looks really, really good. At least from the screenshots. And there was a teaser that was released a short while back. I
It was
think
at
a few weeks
night.
ago. Yeah.
It was at night, so that's a plus.
I have no doubt it's going to look exceptional. And we'll see if EA takes PC seriously enough that it'll be well optimized. I'm just curious what kind of DLC and in-game purchases they're going to enable. 'Cause I remember a while back when the game was first announced. I don't know if it's true or not, but there's a rumor that you would actually pay for fuel. Like an in-app,
That
in-game
had to be.
purchase involved purchasing fuel.
That had to be trolling. That's
But the thing
ridiculous.
is, do you think EA would have the goal to do that?
Well, I assume they'd have the goal to actually offer wheel rims or tire rims as part of DLC,
So purely
or
aesthetic.
sponsor badges.
No, but even
Who
that,
knows?
even the aesthetics. Honestly, with the only Need for Speed that I played, the aesthetics were what kind of motivated me to do better in races. Believe it
Yes,
or not.
except that you
like
at
you know
least
you get to make your car look cooler. So if they now tie that to like paid content, I don't.
But
know.
here's the thing, Hell's Knight. You exhibited real skill to unlock said cosmetics that were already in the game. You did not need to go and find some real world money.
Yeah, that's what I'm
You
saying.
know, and
It's
really,
That's what I'm saying.
As long as it's not paid to win or paid to play fundamentally, and it's just paid to show off and be flashy, then that's up to the gamer
But
to
you know-
decide if they want to invest or not. It's like
see the way I
League of
compare-
Legends.
No, the way I compare it to is the loot system in the Diablo 3 with the whole thing with the auction house.
Yeah.
yes.
So like some of those things were really cool looking and blah blah blah, and you could just buy them. I think that would hurt my experience, to be
With-
honest.
At least with Diablo 3 with the auction house. Because Blizzard wanted to promote the auction house, when you play through the game, the frequency of which you could actually collect powerful, valuable items was far less compared to Diablo 2. And by making it that rare, assuming you find that you could have sold it for so much on the auction house, and for those that weren't particularly interested in paying real money or forking up the kind of points required to purchase it, or just simply don't have enough time,
Yes.
it definitely was a factor, at least for me personally, that put me off playing it. It was one of the facets.
Yeah, that was the first multiplayer game I ever played, by the way. Online multiplayer game I ever played. So I have a
What was
special
it,
place
two,
for
3
it.
years ago.
Yeah. Oh well, when it came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, good.
Yeah. Also, one more bit of release news this week. The big release is actually PES.
That would be Pro Evolution Soccer
PES
2016.
Yep.
the Pez.
I have never played any. So I don't know. It looks less prettier than FIFA, and it looks smoother, I guess. Like it looks more arcadey.
Well,
if anything.
for many
But
years,
I can't,
for many
so I
years,
play
the PS series was always about fluidity of gameplay as compared to FIFA. But of course, FIFA is, claiming its own in recent years. So
Concerning PES 2016, I think this was a few weeks back. I'd read that the PC version in particular was using an old gen engine to run the game, but that's specifically for PC, which is a bit silly.
I honestly can't tell you if I haven't played the game.
But look,
If the engine wasn't broken, don't fix it, I guess. But also, if there's no innovation, then
Yeah.
what was the point?
Yeah,
Look,
what's the point of pushing it?
Yeah.
well,
Who knows?
we can criticize it, but at least the tendency being observed is that generally in the gaming industry, developers are creating games to be platform agnostic, in the sense that the exclusivity is slowly fading away.
And it's becoming inclusive, but quality is dropping, right? Yeah.
But-
Exactly.
Also keep in mind that game engines being created from this point onward, whether it's Unreal Engine Source 2, Unreal Engine 4, Source 2, Crytek's updated engine, Unity, and so on and so forth, are designed to keep future tech and platforms in mind. So it's definitely an interesting time.
A very, very exciting time.
All right, that's all I had. Did you have anything?
No, not at the moment.
All right, guys, that is it for today.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
And please remember to, of course, listen to the supplementary interview from last Saturday's LAN party. I believe that was hosted by Tsunami and the Kenya
KGN
and the
and
Kenya Gaming
G4K,
Network
yeah.
and Gaming for Kenya.
Yep.
So have a listen to both. They should be uploaded
Very soon.
very shortly, almost at once.
Well, no, by the end of today.
Yeah, it'll be up soon.
Yeah. And also our Facebook page is up. If you're listening to it, it's up. And so it's called Ponage 254. And for updates on our podcasts and our YouTube stuff that we are planning on doing, and our blog which we're developing, and articles that we're writing, you'll get updates on that. So you can keep track of everything there.
We're slowly building and progressing and evolving, so
Yeah.
any support, any feedback, we would thoroughly appreciate.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, we're doing this because we love games and tech, and we want to foster and nurture a fun gaming community.
Yeah. If you like our stuff, make sure you leave a comment on either the Facebook group or write to us if you're shy at ponage254@gmail.com. And yeah.
And do remember, like, share, and spread the word. Thank you for listening.
And
Have a
happy
good-
gaming.
Yeah. I like happy gaming.
All right, okay, bye.